Alright guys, welcome to Take Your Base. I'm your host Flavo Rihanna, brought to you by Four Corner Sports. Alright guys, so we have a lot to talk about. The Dodgers, finally, they win the World Series. Kevin Cash's dumb move that he did in the 6th inning cost him everything. Cost him the World Series. You got Steve Cohen versus Bill de Blasio. If you don't know who Bill de Blasio is, I'll see you guys later in the video. And you got a Hall of Famer coming out of retirement, Hall of Fame manager, to coach the White Sox. Alright, well, without further ado, let's get to this. Alright guys, so if any of you guys have seen Tuesday, you guys would have seen Game 6. Very, very good matchup between the LA Dodgers and the Tampa Bay Rays. It started off with Tony Gonsolin from the LA Dodgers versus Blake Snell from the Tampa Bay Rays. And Tony Gonsolin, of course, has been pitching that great. In the World Series, he got pulled quickly. Dave Roberts has been known to having a quick leash, and if you're not doing well, he yanks you out. So, ended up yanking out Tony Gonsolin, and of course, he just kept on doing that over and over and over again without his whole bullpen. He's been doing that consistently, so why not? Why would you stop that at all? If he did it with Clayton Kershaw early in the World Series, and he was going to do it with anybody else. But Tony Gonsolin is not the discussion. It is what that Dodgers lineup ended up doing, plus some idiotic moves from Tampa. Look, to start it off, Randy Arozarena ended up hitting a solo home run to start off the World Series in Game 6. And that was 1-0. It was 1-0 for quite some time. Blake Snell of the Tampa Bay Rays, he started off killing it, man. He was killing it. His slider, his fastball, he was clocking in at over 100 a couple of times. I think maybe 101, 102 a couple of times, if I'm not mistaken. This guy was dialing it up. He was looking like an ace. He was looking like the ace that he is. He was looking like the reason why he ended up winning a Cy Young. I think it was 2018 or 2019. This guy was destroying the Dodgers lineup, and the Dodgers are good. They're nasty. That lineup, top to bottom, from Mookie Betts to Corey Seager to Cody Bellinger to the Gingerhead Warrior, Justin Turner. So you got the first Prince of Bel-Air, Will Smith, and so on and so forth. I mean, look, they were killing it. That lineup is stacked from top to bottom. It can destroy any pitching lineup, any pitcher. But Blake Snell, he said he did a lot of preparation. He knew how to make adjustments, and he was dialing it up. Striking out the side a couple of times. This guy was wheeling and dealing. He looked like he was able to push forward, and give the Rays a possibility of them forcing a Game 7. But this is why baseball has been losing their touch. Okay? Because you have teams that fully go into analytics, and look, I'm not one that's against analytics, but what happened on Tuesday for Game 6 was out of my mind, all right? And it blew everybody's mind. If you check Twitter, that was like the number one leading trend. All right, people that don't even watch baseball were just like, what are you doing? So if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to recap it for you. 6th inning, Blake Snell ends up, doing his thing, got it out. Then Barnes ended up getting a single, right? And on the bottom of the 6th inning, he gets a single. Kevin Cash is thinking, all right, Mookie Betts is up. The top of the lineup is going to be coming up for the 3rd time. Let me pull him in. Let me put in Nick Anderson in. Why would you do that? Why would you take out Blake Snell when he is the reason why you're in the position of winning Game 6? All right. The Dodgers could not even get on base. All right. Barnes was only the 2nd person to get a hit. It took them 6 innings to get 2 hits. 6 innings to get 2 hits with Snell on the mound. All right. I don't know what Kevin Cash was doing. I was praising this guy in previous videos, saying that this guy is one of the best managers in all of baseball, and he makes me look like an idiot. He makes me look like an idiot. All right. I don't know what he was doing. So He takes Snell out, puts Nick Anderson in. You see the Dodgers, they're grinning, they're smiling from ear to ear because they knew that Kevin Cash, he effed up really bad. He really did. And then immediately, Mookie Betts hit a double. Bam. Now you got Barnes on third, and then you got Mookie Betts on second. All right, and this guy's clapping it up, and I'm like, you know what, good. Let the Rays end up losing this thing, all right? I mean, originally I already picked the Dodgers in 6, but I did not want the series to end like that. So then following up, next batter, wild pitch. Go figure. Barnes ends up going in, touching home plate. Now it's tied 1-1. Then later on, in that same at bat, ball gets grounded towards Chi-Man Joy. Grounds it to first. He tries to throw the ball towards home plate. He's off by half a second because he wasn't going to be able to catch Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts is really, really quick. And then, what do you know? Dodgers are up 2-1. And I just see it right before my very eyes. I'm like, wow, Nick Anderson, he is not handling this pressure at all. This guy's crumbling. I ended up tweeting out saying that this looks worse. This looks just as bad as when the Atlanta Falcons ended up blowing that, what is that, at 27-3, 27-7. Oh, I don't remember the score, but they blew like a ridiculous lead to the Patriots. What was it, like 3-4 years ago? It looked like that. That's what I ended up seeing with Nick Anderson on the mound. This guy blew it, and he's actually a really good relief pitcher. He actually is a really good relief pitcher, but he ended up blowing that. All right. And Kevin Cash too. I mean, I hold more accountability on Kevin Cash as opposed to Nick Anderson. And I just felt bad for Blake Snell because the cameras were just focusing on him. They saw how upset he was, how depressed he looked. I would be depressed too. I would have just walked into the clubhouse and just stayed there and to show how upset I was. And I know as a teammate, that's not the best look for you to do. But you know what? When you know that you're helping that team out, and you know that your hitters don't even compete. They're not even in the same stratosphere as the Dodgers. Look, the Dodgers are the better team. All right, so the better team did win. But there was no reason why Kevin Cash pulled out Blake Snell. Now, I said in a tweet, I wouldn't be surprised if they fire Kevin Cash. Will they do that? I don't think they will. But that to me had to be one of the worst decisions, one of the worst, managerial decisions I've seen in World Series history. Another one comes up to mind was Dusty Baker when he ended up managing the San Francisco Giants, that 0-2 World Series between the Angels. But I think this tops it off. As for that, in the ninth inning, not in the ninth inning, the eighth inning, you had Mookie Betts hitting a solo home run, and right there goes 3-1. Julio Urias ends up closing out the World Series, striking out, I think it was Kevin Kiermaier, if I'm not mistaken, or no, it was Willie Adames, a guy that's been struggling all World Series. And I was questioning, why is Kevin Cash trusting Willie Adames over Blake Snell? If Willie Adames has been like over his last 8 at bats, as opposed to Blake Snell, who dominated, was a game 2. He got pulled early. It was like 4 2/3 innings, and then he gets pulled out of game 6, 5 1/3. Makes no sense. I would be very, very pissed with Blake if I was Blake Snell. I'll be in my head reconsidering if I had any aspirations on rejoining that team once my contract is up, because I'll be thinking about stuff like that. Like my manager doesn't have faith in me or something like that. That's just my personal opinion. I don't know if Blake Snell would do something like that, but Tampa had a golden opportunity to at least force a Game 7. Not to say that they would have won the whole thing, but to say that they would have at least forced a Game 7, to force Clayton Kershaw to go back onto the mound for a Game 7, who had playoff demons, World Series demons, traveling all over around him. Now that he's a champion, I feel like he got that monkey off his back. But sticking with Clayton Kershaw, fantastic career that he had. He's one of the better pitchers to ever play this game. And now that he finally has a ring, this kind of completes his Hall of Fame career. Now he will always be considered as a champion. One of the analysts, one of the guys on TV, ended up saying that he is one of the best regular season pitchers of all time. And I think that's fair to say. I think that is fair to say that he is one of the best regular season pitchers of all time. But he does crumble in the playoffs. But this TV guy ended up saying that he has now joined the Peyton Mannings, the Will Chamberlains of the world, who have had playoff woes throughout their career, finally getting the ring. And I think that's fair because you know what? Somebody who has struggled a lot in the playoffs doesn't automatically get to be placed on the elite of the elite just because you got a ring. And sure, he ended up helping. He wasn't the reason why they ended up winning. I felt like the reason why the Dodgers won, they had Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts, for me, seemed like the missing piece. But yeah, Dodgers ended up winning. Congratulations to them. LA, has two champions, the Lakers and the Dodgers. I said it before in a previous video, if I'm not mistaken, definitely in a tweet, when I said that it just feels weird that if the Dodgers win, it just seems like this was like the aura of Kobe, who ended up allowing teams of LA to win titles and stuff like that. But Dodgers ended up honoring Kobe too with that. In other news, speaking with the Dodgers, before I move on to my next topic, third baseman Justin Turner, aka the Gingerhead Warrior, he got pulled in the 8th inning for testing positive for COVID. Now, this is something that, in my opinion, MLB is already investigating right now. But he got tested for COVID. He got pulled out of the game. Dodgers ended up winning the World Series, right? The Dodgers are celebrating on the field. Dodgers gave Justin Turner the option whether he wants to be on the field or not. And I felt like baseball should have at least stepped in, because the Dodgers should have never at least had the option of giving Justin Turner the ability to have a choice whether he wants to be on the field or not. For crying out loud, the guy has COVID. And you have countries out in Europe like France, Germany, Italy, or if I'm not mistaken, that already have, shutdowns, a whole country shut down. And yet you have the Gingerhead Warrior, Justin Turner, going in to celebrate with his teammates, having his mask down, taking a mass picture with his team, celebrating the World Series. Now, we're in a pandemic, people. You guys should be wearing your masks. And that right there, in my opinion, was unacceptable. I know that some people were like, we did win the World Series. It is what it is. But it's just like, it's setting a bad example. There are little kids that look up to maybe like a Justin Turner or something like that. And they're like, if he's able to do it, why can't I? So that's where I was bothered. Justin Turner should have just been, he should have been able to take a car home, go straight to his house, quarantine. Yes, he would have been able to receive his ring and stuff like that. Would he have been able to celebrate? No, but you know what? There's far more other things that he has to be worried about as opposed to celebrating. Like not infecting anybody else. But thank God that the World Series is over, because I can't even imagine that having a Game 7 and then you having players like potentially like a Cody Bellinger, a Mookie Betts being pulled out of a Game 7 because they tested positive for COVID. Not saying that they have tested positive, but I can't even imagine that being a possibility. So I'm glad the World Series is over. I'm glad that nobody, as for our further knowledge, has COVID. So with that's all done for. I mean, Dodgers won. They won the World Series. Congratulations to you guys. You got first title since 1988. And, let's see if you guys are going to repeat. Let's see what you guys end up doing in the offseason. You guys have 2 top 5 players in the league on your roster. So, very happy for the Dodgers that won. As for the Rays, you guys have a lot to, look forward to in next season. Kevin Cash, I advise you stop focusing on analytics. This right here shows that why we should not be always focusing on analytics and testing having to test things out. The eye exam. The eye exam clearly showed that Blake Snell was dominating. All right, you leave somebody there who's dominating. You don't pull somebody out just because of 73 pitches and you think the third time around they're gonna hit him, with a higher probability. You don't do stuff like that. All right. You cost your team the World Series. Now you have to make up for it. I don't know how you're going to make up for it. An apology is not going to just be the only way that you make up for it. You guys are going to have to roll it out. You guys are going to have to at least try to make it to the ALCS at the bare minimum. At the bare minimum. All right. You guys have a talented roster. You guys are going to need a little bit better hitters to at least try to seal the deal. But moving on. Getting on to... Man, guys. Look, I am a lifelong Mets fan. I really am. And then seeing what the New York Post ended up announcing. Steve Cohen, who is trying to buy the New York Mets from the Wilpons, is going toward it. It is now up in the air whether or not he might be able to buy them, because the mayor of New York City, Bill de Blasio, is trying to get in the way. He is trying to stop the transaction. He is trying to stop Steve Cohen from purchasing the New York Mets. Now, if this happens, this is the most New York Mets thing ever. This is the most New York Mets thing ever if this was to ever happen. All right? And he wants to stop this. People from City Hall have confirmed that he is using, whatever leverage he can to stop the transaction. He's gotten on the phone with Rod Manfred. Steve Cohen has said that, if he tries to stop the transaction, he will sue. And with the amount of money that Steve Cohen has compared to Bill de Blasio, I mean, it is crazy to imagine. This guy is a multi-billionaire, all right? And he was ready to buy the New York Mets for $2 billion, all right? That would have made the Mets the most expensive franchise in all of baseball. But yeah, he said that he would have sued Mayor Bill de Blasio. Honestly, Bill de Blasio should have never even tried to step in at this point, because of the fact that I don't know what vendetta that he has against Steve Cohen. Maybe because of his hedge fund, scandal, the felonies that he was convicted for at one point, and he was able to get past that. But look, if you weren't trying to get in the middle of it before, why are you trying to get in the middle of it now? All right, let the Mets have some type of success. All right, I don't want J-Lo and A-Rod trying to own the team. All right, I don't want that at all. I want somebody that's confident enough that they're gonna make the best decisions possible as an owner, who's gonna cut the checks, who's gonna go after the best players that's available in free agency. All right, I don't want no showcase at Citi Field. All right. I don't want J-Lo being, the owner, not because she's a female or anything like that. It's because of the fact that I don't have as much confidence in her as opposed to have confidence in Steve Cohen. Steve Cohen is a lifelong Mets fan. I think he was owner or part owner of Goldman Sachs. If anybody not knows what Goldman Sachs is, Google it, right? Plus, this guy has billions and billions of dollars. I mean, this guy knows what he's doing when it comes to money. And he wants the Mets to win. He wants the Mets to be, what's it called? What's the best word I can say? He wants the Mets to be decent. He wants the Mets to be competitive. He wants the Mets to finally win a world title. All right, the last title that they won was in 1986, and I wasn't even born. I wasn't even a thought at that point. All right, my parents didn't even meet at that point. Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. I have no idea. But I wasn't even a thought. I want to at least be able to say, hey, I was able to experience the Mets winning a world title. All right. I was fortunate enough to see the Giants win it twice. All right. The one team I want to see, win it all is the New York Mets. And what's it called? Mayor Bill de Blasio is trying to get in the middle of it. Jeez, man. This is why you're not getting my vote, Bill de Blasio, when it comes for you for election. Moving on. This is what I got to deal with being as a Met fan. This exact thing. We have a Hall of Fame manager coming out of retirement, right? And this actually caught me by surprise. Tony La Russa is going to be coaching the Chicago White Sox. This is big for Chicago. This is big for the White Sox. White Sox, they made the playoffs this year. They got somebody, they got a good ace with Lucas Giolito. And La Russa, all those years that he managed Oakland and St. Louis, that guy's a winner and he knows what he's doing. Don't be surprised if you see the White Sox, further excel in their progression. They got Jose Abreu, Tim Beckham, Lucas Giolito, Yohan Mercado. They got hitters, man. They got hitters. And I'm very, very excited what I see in that White Sox team. And White Sox, they can do a lot of things. And I'm hoping to see, them excel. I think Tony La Russa puts them over the hump, over Cleveland Indian squad. Maybe even, or maybe they're meeting what's it called? Aligned with not Cleveland, with Minnesota. Chicago's gonna need to get at least maybe one more hitter and one more arm for that bullpen for them to really, really compete. But I like the direction that the White Sox are going. White Sox are looking really, really good. They're on the trajectory going up. All right, and yeah, no, I'm very, very excited for the White Sox. I mean, I didn't see that coming, but for the White Sox to get a big name like Tony La Russa, I mean, they had Rick Renteria, but that huge upgrade from Tony La Russa, and I know he hasn't been part of the game in more than a couple of years, more than a few years actually, and maybe he has to transition into the whole analytics and stuff like that, but he'll get it. I mean, he's been around the game. He may have not been coaching, but he's been around the game, so very, very excited for the Chicago White Sox. All right, guys, look, that's everything for Take Your Base. All right, I said what I had to say about the Dodgers, Kevin Cash, Steve Cohen versus Bill de Blasio, and Tony La Russa being the new manager for the Chicago White Sox. Thank you for tuning in. Please hit the like and subscribe button. And look, guys, we are in the off season. I will keep you guys updated when it comes to key free agent signing, club options, team options, player options, you name it. I'll keep you guys updated with that. All right, guys, I'll talk to you guys later, and I'll keep you guys updated also with the whole, Steve Cohen versus Bill de Blasio. All right, guys, you guys have a good night, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.